Hey everybody, Mo Bunnell here, your host at Real Relationships, Real Revenue. This is the second of 5 episodes with Linda Klein. Some of the best content we've ever created. If you haven't heard of Linda, she's a legend in law. She's a senior manager shareholder at Baker Donaldson, very large law firm. More importantly, I think than even that, is that she was the first female president of the Georgia Bar Association. She was president, she did such a good job there. She was president of the American Bar Association, one of the largest, if not the largest professional association on the planet. And she ran the entire thing. And she's just inspiring to me because of all the ways, not only the impact she's had on the world in her life, but also tactically in the way that she approaches every single thing that she does. So I don't even want to postpone anymore. I want to get right into it. Here is Linda on her that she's going to describe her definition and how she approaches business development. Hey everybody, Mo Bunnell here, your host at Real Relationships, Real Revenue. Man, if you didn't catch the episode before this one with Linda Klein, who is senior managing shareholder at Baker Donaldson, she's also past president of the ABA, first woman president of the Georgia Bar, legendary lawyer. If you didn't catch the last episode, you've got to listen to it and stick around to the end because there's some inspiring comments by Linda at the very end. It's one of our best ever. Okay, Linda, in this episode, I'd love to hear, and the audience would love to hear, what's your personal definition of business development?
Adding value to a client's business by solving the problem. Lawyers tend to look at clients' problems as legal issues, and I think that's true in any professional service. You know, they say that the carpenter looks at everything like a hammer and a nail.
Yep.
And looking at a client's problem as a legal issue, that's really great when you're in law school. That's really great when you're sitting in continuing education. That is not a way to develop business. Clients know you're smart. You don't have to show that off, and please don't. I see it all the time in professional service pitches, not just lawyers. Everybody is so anxious to say about all the great things that they do and did and how they were Phi Beta, whatever, and all that. And clients just want their problem solved. So people who buy professional services like legal services, they're really sophisticated. And sellers of professional services in general show up with that glossy stuff and the free ear pods bearing the company name and all these branded giveaways. And I managed a law office for a long time, and lots of people came to see me. And I didn't like when people were hard selling me. And I personally hope that I never do that. I certainly never want to do that. I don't like when people are pretending like they aren't hard selling me, but they really are. Like they tell me that they're here to help, but they keep asking for the sale before they've solved the problem. I don't want to embarrass anyone, but there was someone that was trying to bring me this client gift that they wanted me to buy in volumes to give all of my clients. And I had just this reaction to the thing. It was just stupid. And I wasn't going to buy it. And in the nicest way, I said, this is really not something that would appeal to my clients. And just kept asking for, well, maybe there's just a few clients who would like it. I felt very uncomfortable. And the person who kept, well, if I can't sell you 100, can I sell you 50? What about 25? What about 10? What about 5.5? It was, what if I cut the price? And I felt awful. And
Yeah.
I felt awful for the person. And then I just was like, how can I get out of this room? So what I think I can do best and what I love to do is to find new ways to solve problems.
Yes.
And by listening carefully, I look for ways, an example is to bring down the cost of dispute resolution. I look for ways to take a client who has the same problem over and over again and try to get the root or try to manage it so it doesn't pull all of the business leaders' time away from growing their business. Problems that require you to hire a licensed professional like legal problems, are very distracting. And I said professional, licensed professional, because if you need a plumber or a surgeon, you have a distracting problem. But sometimes I see a situation that I can't solve with my experience. And if I can't help, do I know who can? Maybe there's another lawyer. Is the problem really a legal problem that requires a lawyer to solve it? Is there technology available? Could we divide up or disaggregate the problem and assign pieces to others? An example, a client was interested in contract management software because in their business they had lots and lots of contracts. And the client thought that the problem was a legal problem. But in listening, I realized it was a process problem. And then they had to get organizational buy in the whole company to adopt it. uh, an example, consumer lawsuits, where a company manufactures something and they get sued a lot over the product. Well, you might not be able to redesign the product, so we have to control this litigation that happens all the time. Could we train lower level people in the organization and empower them to solve the problem rather than wait for it to become a lawsuit? Those are some examples.
Well, I absolutely love this. And of course, you know, our give to get kind of idea where you actually start solving the problem sometimes, if you need to develop the relationship, to show your expertise, actually solving the problem. But you box that into a 30-minute call or hour call or whatever. And it's clear at some point the client will need to hire you to if they need your personal help or your firm's help. But so many professionals are resistant to start solving the problem because they feel like, well, they should get paid right out of the gate, or they don't feel comfortable giving first, or whatever. And you flip that on your head. Of course, it's what we believe too, which is if you just are trying to authentically be helpful, as opposed to, in like your example, that poor product salesperson, selling and pushing something on you. Man, we all sense that. We hate to be sold to, we love to buy. As humans, we sense that being sold to thing right away and we want to run. But when somebody starts solving their problems, reciprocity kicks in. We're learning, we're enjoying the experience. We want to grab their big brain even more. So drop us into, I loved your examples. They're just so good. Drop us into, you've met somebody, um, there's clearly some business issues that have some legal perspectives to them. What are you looking to do in a first meeting to start solving? What's your mindset? I think just talking about what your mindset going into initial meeting would be helpful to the audience.
The first thing is, don't go into the meeting expecting that the only win is to come out with business.
Yes.
In fact, strike that from your brain. Don't go into the first meeting expecting business to come out of it. Go into the first meeting to get to know somebody. And if you do that, I think you'll just relax. Just, you're meeting a friend. It's freshman year of college and you're in the dining hall and you don't know anybody and you sit down at the table and you're just introducing yourself. Just start a relationship. And that I think is exactly how you should approach every one of these meetings.
Yeah, when I was working with a client in a professional service firm just earlier this week, and she had what she called a major unlock. She had been looking at business development as sales, and her words were quite literally, "I hate this, and I don't want to do it." And when we reframed things to like initial meetings, is just treat that person like it was a friend of yours, and they called and they knew you're a lawyer in this case, and they wanted to just get your advice on something. How would you treat them? She's like, wow, I would, take the call on a Saturday. I would look for ways to be helpful. I said, well, let's just approach all of your meetings that way. And she had a meeting, and it's a longer story, but she found a way to be helpful, and she was just super pleased because she added a lot of value to that person because there was something she could be helpful with. And she just, the reframing of, I'm not here to sell. I just need to treat this person like a friend was a big unlock. Your thoughts?
So nothing makes me prouder than when I can help clients in their success.
Yeah.
And it's also true that nothing makes me prouder when I can help my colleagues in their success. So when I'm able to help someone achieve their goals, I feel great.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the feeling that your client had.
So let's dig in a little deeper. Our audience always said practicality is really helpful. So, you've talked about mindset, getting to know someone, have meeting a friend, having that metaphor of we're freshmen in the dining hall and we're just meeting people. When you're thinking about follow up, so you've met somebody, they have a business issue that has a legal angle to it that you could be helpful. You had a great meeting. You were going to say introducing to somebody at Baker Donaldson, amazing firm. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and you're thinking about follow up. How do you think about reaching out to that person afterwards?
Well, remember that I've listened carefully. So maybe it's just trying to find ways to connect uh, them with someone else. Maybe it's not even someone else that helps them with their business. Maybe in the course of the conversation, I learned that a friend or someone else in their business in another city is going to relocate to Atlanta, where I live. Uh, Maybe it's a friend that's in a totally different industry. Hey, so and so, my friend here in Baltimore is moving to Atlanta. Well, I'm all over that. First of all, I want to do it, and I'm delighted to introduce the new person around. So, uh, t- put me in touch with your friend. Usually, that's an email happens quickly, and we'll go ahead and get started. Where are you moving to? What are you going to be doing? And by the way, by that time, you might have two clients.
Yeah, I love it. You get a twofer with something like that. And I think the
Mhm.
key to your point with this, that the words I wrote down were listen carefully. That's it. So let me go deeper on that. Super practical again. How do you, like Linda, you know so many people, past president of the American Bar Association, first woman president of the Georgia Bar. You're involved in so many different community activities with, I couldn't even want to get started because there's so many. How do you make these connections? How do you remember that so and so's moved to Atlanta and they might want to meet so and so? Like how do you keep track of it all?
Uh, well, I guess I'm the phone a friend on business development. So I don't know if people remember that TV show,
Yeah.
but the whole idea was that you were on a game show and you had an opportunity to phone a friend if you didn't know the answer. So when an email goes around and says, I need a left-handed plumber in Minot, uh, North Dakota, uh, I'm usually the one that answers that. Uh, do I? How do I remember it? I don't have any special device. I'm sorry, but I suspect that if people use a tool that you have given them that I'm embarrassed to say I've never used, where you've got the big sheet and you write down all the people you know, uh, I think that's exactly what people could do. Um, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about that. But before I do, I want to say that if you have taken your time to know the industry that this potential customer is in, you're going to know the pain points. So, number one, know the industry. And if you can help, but only if you can help, offer to help. Don't offer to help if you really can't help, because then that's going to look bad. And if you can't help, just be a friend until you can help.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and I will respond to your tee up is, I think what's interesting is like when you went through Grow Big training, you were already at a 99.9999 percentile rainmaker. So I want to say this to the audience. Linda can skip over writing down your core contacts names because you're so fluent in keeping in touch with so many people. I'm dead serious. You're already at the top of the if there's a normal curve, you're way out to one side of the proficiency and fluency. But what somebody can do, if you're listening to the show and you want to get to where Linda is now, the number one thing you want to do right out of the gate is just write down your most important relationships. Keep it to 5 or 10 people. You don't have to boil the ocean. You might know hundreds, thousands of people, but if you try to keep in touch with the level of folks that Linda keeps in touch with, you'll fail right out of the gate because it's too big. You'll quit before you begin. So what you do, we call this a protolist. It's a word that means first among equals. You can do it on a scrap piece of paper. You can read chapter 4 of the Snowball System. There's tools that downloadable that they reference that come with the book. But the core nut of it is just write down the top 5 to 10 people. This is important, that are important to your future success. They may be people you know well now, they may not be, but that's where you're going to steer your efforts of helpfulness is to your high priority. Linda does this with thousands of people, Linda, but that is a very high bar. That's like you're learning a sport and you're trying to compare yourself to a gold medal Olympic athlete. Don't do that. You don't go to Linda right away, Linda level, but just start small and then you scale up from that. So Linda, your thoughts on that as we wrap up?
That was absolutely great advice. So your number one takeaway, people out there in listener land, is what Mo just told you, because he knows he's the best.
I love it. Well, I want to coin a phrase. The best of the best from now on, we're going to call Linda level. It uses alliteration. It's true. So from now on, I'll say, hey, don't go to Linda level right out of the gate. Just go to level 1. That's way out here. Well, Linda, thanks for being on the show. Everything is just so meaningful and thoughtful and poignant. Where should people go if they want to say thank you for the inspiration you've provided, if they want to maybe even inquire about you helping with a legal issue?
Well, I'm always delighted to meet new people, and LinkedIn is a good way to reach me. Email is a good way to reach me. lklein@bakerdonaldson.com is my email address. And I look forward to any friend of Mo's is a friend of mine.
I love it. Well, everybody, we'll put those down in the show notes. So if you're in transit and you can't write those down, just check in the show notes later. But if you do want to just type it, write it down verbally, it's Klein, Klein, at bakerdonaldson and donaldson.com. And Donaldson is Donelson. Linda, thanks for being on the show. Everybody follow, subscribe, set up those notifications so your phone goes off like crazy, because we've got 3 more episodes coming up. And we're going to teach you Linda level in every one of these 3. Linda, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.